morning to my colleagues and to members of the media. Pleasant week to you all. I would like to touch on the issue this morning of compulsory education. Leading up to the introduction of compulsory education, the many valid concerns expressed involved government, the general public, and it basically consumed the daily conversation and airwaves. In fact, it would be fair to say that the situation whereby children were not going to school was something that we all were worried about. After much careful deliberation, postponement, and preparation, the first phase of the implementation took place. This, although the Island Ordinance on Compulsory Education had not yet passed because it found a bit of a legal problem when it got to the Governor General, particularly as it had to do with children that were not residing on the island legally. A draft Island Ordinance was drafted, but regardless of that, it not being passed, the aspect of our children having to be inscribed in school, the aspect of implementing a law, federal ordinance, that in fact had passed in 1991 and was supposed to be implemented in 1996, still of course carried the concern of the Democratic Party government. And so in 2008 the DP government started with the phased implementation. Phased implementation starting with children ages 4 to 6. The National Alliance High Legal Government would get into government in June of 2009 and hoping to make a political mileage, political, stamp, shouted to the top of their voices, all children must be in school. We suspect that the NA-led government today has realized that that was easier said than done and has now quietly reverted to the phased implementation, which was started in 2008 by the DP government. The phase 2 is now being implemented, children ages 4 to 9. In fact, this policy document, which was part of the budget 2010, indeed reflects that phase 2 of the compulsory education will be implemented in the year 2010. And so that's on schedule as far as what we could safely say the DP phased implementation plan of compulsory education is concerned. The budget, however, reflects contrary to this, namely the budget post is nil. And if we look at questions that were posed by the DP government, or rather the DP opposition, you will see that a question answered by, posed on compulsory education, budget post is nil. Why is that? What was the reason for this situation? Other educational services in 2009 was allocated to the tune of 1.4 million guilders for educational programs and compulsory education, 250,000 guilders, 1.2 million guilders respectively. The explanation, the response from the NA-led government, the reason for this situation is budgetary restrictions. So in other words, the 2010 budget has a big zero where it comes to the implementation of compulsory education. Now, the question is, do Dutch nationals have a choice as to where their children go to school? In fact, do Dutch nationals find space in schools? Our children, for example, who are returning home in the middle of the school year, who are Dutch, who are from here,